Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Miju Eco Care, and we're here once again with environmental series. This time around, we're just focusing at the natural environment. We're also looking at your personal well-being. We're looking at the nutrition and also physical exercise. So we're going to talk to a couple of people that are going to be introduced within the interaction. Make sure you focus and share the video with someone. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed, and stay tuned.
Hello world, welcome to Kamuzu Eco Care, and today we're talking about personal health, and we have Aerobics Mania CEO, right? If I'm not mistaken, the founder. Yes, Mr. Makungo. Thanks for taking the time
Thanks.
to come through.
You're welcome.
Very much so. Lovely place that you have here.
Thank you.
You can see the personal health and the environmental health around the environment. I wanted to pick your mind that when did you get into health in terms of being pragmatic about it, saying I'm going to get good health?
Okay. I started exercising a long time ago. I think as far as 1995, 96.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I went to the university, I used to do a bit of exercise. I used to go to the gym.
That's Unza, right?
Yeah, Unza in West Tanzania. So, when I graduated, yes.
Because I remember there's a post that you put up on one of the social media platforms where you were very big, the time that you're working for the government. And stuff. How did you lose it?
So that's what I was actually going to. So when I finished and I got married in 2005, I started getting. I never stopped exercising, but I wasn't very consistent. So just go to the gym and pump a bit. And even do 1 or 2 kilometer walk and run, but start gaining weight.
Yes.
So 2009, that's when I decided now to focus on losing weight. That's when I started going to gym, running, and that's how I started doing the aerobics. So.
Oh, you said that aerobics in China is still with the government? Or
I was still with the government, but I had an opportunity to do my master's in Thailand. I think I had a lot of time there. So.
Yes.
I used to spend most of the time alone, so that's the time I used to basically rediscover myself.
Yes.
So whilst I was in Thailand, I used to run, I used to go to the gym, and then I used to do my own aerobics in the room. Before I go to the gym, probably I sweat it out a lot.
So how did you figure out the particular exercises to do?
The beauty about today's world, I mean, the internet is there, so it's a mixture of watching different videos and be like, okay, this I like, this I, you know what I mean? So what I did, I used to watch different videos, and then what I like is what I would implement, and then eventually I started coming up with my own needs and also selecting a need that makes sense to me.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I came back from Thailand, I continued with the same.
Which year was this now? 2010.
I continued with the same routine. Wake up in the morning, do a run, and then this and that, until 2013. That's when I created the aerobics thing. And the aerobics thing was created because I saw not so many people then.
It wasn't a thing in
yeah. So not so many people used to exercise. Because the time that I used to run, then I wouldn't find one running. Yes. Probably find one person.
One white person.
Yeah. So I had an office in the gym because I do clothing.
Yes.
I had an office called Universal Gym, which used to be along Curfew Road there. So I used to rent a small office in the gym. So I started doing free fitness exercise.
Which your co-workers are from?
No. It was a gym, so there was no aerobics class. So I just started alone with my friend. 2-3 people joined. Before you knew it was this class that grew. You know. And then I kept on wondering why is it that people don't like going to the gym.
Yeah.
And then somebody told me that the gym, and for sure, when you go to the gym, sometimes it's boring.
Yes.
People are so. Everyone is serious and
it's not fun.
So I thought what has been lacking in terms of promoting fitness is the fun.
Yes.
So created the aerobics mania to have fun and also exercise, and sometimes forget that you're exercising.
Yes.
So such big music, sound, a lot of people coming together, and that's how the aerobics mania was created.
So what number did you go to them that you were just starting it out in that particular gym?
It was like a small studio, which was accommodating about 20. So the owner of the gym actually even expanded the gym and built a bigger studio.
Yes.
I mean, it was big, 50, 60 people. But at the time that also I was leaving the place, and that's when the time I created the aerobics mania.
Yes.
So when the aerobics mania was created, we did the first one on the 27th September 2013, which attracted about 300 400 people.
Well, was it Nasdaq?
Yeah. So since then, we've had, I told myself I'm going to be doing this, and we've been very consistent, and here we are. At least so many people know that exercise is good for them.
Yes.
And aerobics now, it was there, and I can't say we invented it, but we basically popularized it.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, and everywhere you go now, people are doing aerobics because it's fun, and it's a good exercise for beginners because of the music and the bit of movement here and there. So that's how far we've come. So we are now 6 years in the game.
At 6 years in the game, I think there's one component that you mentioned in entrepreneurship, is that where you look at fashion and stuff like that. Where was your passion? Is it balanced between health and fashion, or there are some things that's
Yeah, lately it has been so much on the fitness aspect. Of course, the economy is tough in terms of because I do exclusive clothing. So
Yes.
yeah, so not so many people are buying clothes right now. But even before, I think I am more inclined to the fitness thing because of the pleasure I get from it for myself.
Yes.
But, like you said, it has really helped me in terms of the looks and also in terms of just the way I feel about myself and my health.
Yes.
Basically, when I was 28, I never used to look like this.
Yes.
I think today I look older than
Yeah, I've seen the features. I'm like,
so
you're aging young, you're aging backwards.
So with fitness, of course, it's a business. More inclined on the community. I want to help people. That's why I do a lot of free things.
Yes.
I find a way of making money and there, but mostly I'm happy when I see people changing their lifestyle and exercising. So for fitness, it's like, for me, there's never a loss. Because whatever I'm doing, I'm also benefiting.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And
It's passion with business.
Yes. So my heart is more inclined to and because it's masses. I mean, since we started, there are thousands and thousands of people that we've motivated. Some have come to our events, and some have motivated through social media and the like. So it's something that we're really excited about.
And then making a decision to leave the government, people wouldn't do that because of security, and then pursue entrepreneurship. How easy was that decision?
It wasn't easy, of course, and it was difficult to get support from everywhere, from my parents and my mother.
By then, you already made the decision, or they just came to know about it after you already?
No, I mean, of course, you can't just leave without telling anyone.
Yes.
So everyone got like, are you sure? You know what I mean? So, but I think I am. I want to focus on what I want to do. That's just explains that when you believe in whatever you want to do, just go for it. Sometimes even a person was to read my wife will be like, you know me, but it's like, because she can't get inside.
How you feel
But eventually, she's like, okay,
now they see results. When the president is also doing the aerobics, they're like, oh, finally, this is where the vision.
So I've never looked back, and that's what it is. So basically, when you exercise regularly, just like you pointed out in the preamble, it's very good for people to do that. As you are aging, exercise keeps you sane because there's so many issues going on. Like right now, the economy is bad. So when the economy, the best part of my day is when I'm exercising necessarily. You know what I mean? But other people, when the economy is bad, they stress themselves so much and they're always thinking about money and stuff like that. And then also, in terms of your health, I haven't been into the hospital for a long time. Of course, it's normal, but sometimes you can attribute it to the lifestyle. And there's so many benefits. For guys, if you exercise, your life is proper, and you can prevent the lifestyle diseases that are on the rise. The BPs, the diabetes, the cancers are on the rise. So when you exercise, at least you are able to prevent to some extent. And that's the more reason why you should be encouraging each and every one of us to to exercise.
No, thank you for your time. Unless you have something that you want to communicate to someone now who's just starting out and like, should I exercise? They're not motivated. Like, what would be the way?
Motivation starts from yourself, and then laziness is a state of mind. No one was born lazy, and people usually say they don't have time to exercise. I ask them, 1,440 minutes in a day. You're busy. What are you doing? Are you normal? You know what I mean?
There's no way.
Yeah, there's no way you can be busy 1,440.
You find time for
so it's just an excuse. There's so many people who come like, I want to exercise, but I don't have time. If you say you don't have time, I don't even have time for you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. What?
Something for.
What do you want me to do if you have said, you have decided yourself that you don't have time? So your health is your wealth, basically. You need to create time for it. The best exercise that you do basically is a combination of both strength and cardio exercise. So cardio can be like aerobic exercise, and aerobics is very general. Usually we want to say aerobics like the thing that we do is aerobics, but aerobics running is aerobics.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Tennis is aerobics. All those games that you use your oxygen to pump blood and stuff like that. Something that requires you to push your heart to the limit. It's aerobics, all right. And then the strength exercise is when you want to develop some muscle, which is also very good. So the best is actually to combine, especially when you want to lose weight. You can do 3 days aerobics, running, jump rope. And then maybe 2 days you can do some strength exercise. The strength exercise can be push-ups, some squats. You go to the gym and pump some weights, which is good. But there are people who like focusing on the strength. Sometimes you can be strong but gray and fit.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Again, you can be fit, but weak. You know what I mean? Huh? You've seen those two guys who are you can run, very weak, but very fit. You know stamina. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the ideal is to have a combination, have a balance. So do both strength and cardio exercise. But cardio exercise is very good because it pushes your heart to the limit. And
I've been in all of your sessions. I tell you that numbers.
That's what it is. So you basically combine. You know what I mean? Yeah? Not whereby you're working so hard. No, I'm doing it for.
Not even a good relationship. All
you know what I mean? Yeah. So at the end of the day, you invest in your health. You're better off. The kids are better off with issues in terms of resources when you're around than with a lot of money when you're thinking. That's the problem. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So those are the things that I usually talk about, and it's just for you to make a decision. Motivation starts from you, and of course, when you want to be motivated more, you can exercise with a group. You can come to the aerobics mania. The aerobics mania can make you fit.
You're all over social media. They can use it.
Yeah. So the aerobics mania can make you fit, but cannot just make you realize that exercise is fun.
Yes.
Exercise is as easy as just doing this. You know what I mean? As long as your body is moving, there's nothing complicated. And then you don't have to depend on anyone. You don't need a gym to exercise. You don't need a partner to exercise. You don't need a trainer to exercise.
That's good music.
You just need your mind to exercise. So what I mean is, you can go to the gym, it's so good, but don't depend on the gym. Don't depend on your friend. Don't depend on your trainer.
Yes.
Because we're talking about a lifestyle.
Indeed.
And the lifestyle is supposed to be something that you do without even thinking about it.
Becomes natural.
Yes.
So you heard it from a man, your health is your wealth.
So today we're talking about waste, popularly known as garbage, trash, or rubbish. Now, waste can be defined as a material or substance or byproduct that is discarded as of no use or required after completion of a process. So there are basically 5 types of waste, and the first type we're going to look at is liquid waste, which is a common household and industrial waste. It comprises of organic liquids, wash water, or dirty water. The second type we're going to look at is solid rubbish, which is a common household waste as well, and also found in industrial locations. Now, it comprises of plastic bags, tins, ceramics, glass, as well as sawdust. Now, after mentioning sawdust, now would probably be the best time to mention that Supermoto uses industrial sawdust to create pellets that act as substitutes for charcoal. Organic waste, a common household waste which comprises of rotten meat, garden waste, manure, and food waste. Recyclable waste, which is a kind of waste that can be converted into something that can be used. And under organic waste, we have metallic objects, we have paper bags, we have plastics. Then hazardous waste, you have all the type of rubbish that is corrosive, flammable, and toxic.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fellow environmentalists, welcome to a continuation of our program on healthy lifestyles. On the program today, we have a special guest, a lecturer from the University of Zambia from the Department of Primary Education, Madam Katongo Walia Monga. Katongo, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. Grateful.
So we've been trying to do some background check in relation to healthy lifestyles, and two things seem to come up every time. The issue of nutrition and the issue of exercise. So we thought we could tap into your expertise and have you guide us through these two important issues so that we can all learn what exactly is nutrition.
Maybe firstly, I would mention that my specialty is physical education and sport.
Okay.
So apart from just it being physical education and sport, of course, there's a component of nutrition as we talk about physical education and sport. So when you ask the question, what is nutrition? Nutrition in the simplest terms would be food intake. So this food intake is in relation to the body's dietary requirements. So you could have good nutrition and you could have bad nutrition based on the diet, for example, that one takes. So you could either have a good diet or a bad diet. And by diet, I mean what is the composition of the food that you take. So this food could be, a good diet, for example, could be food containing carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, minerals, water. A bad diet would not only be the absence of that, but it would also probably entail not eating regularly or eating at the wrong time. Maybe you eat just before you sleep. That would be a bad diet. Eating food that is overly processed would also constitute a bad diet.
What exactly are you referring to when you talk about overly processed foods? What examples are there?
So when I talk about overly processed food, I mean the best is to have food in its natural state. For example, if I have an option of having a cob of maize and processed millie meal, the cob of maize obviously would be a better option because of the amount of fiber that it contains. It hasn't gone through all these processings or chemical additions, so it's more in its natural state. So it's easier for my body to digest food that is in its natural state than food that is overly processed.
There's a debate out there. When we look at pure juices that are packed in packs, a lot of people prefer those to say carbonated drinks. They are processed and they'll be on a shelf for weeks, months, if not years. Do they qualify to be something good for us to take?
Well, I personally would not recommend those, given the option of having freshly squeezed fruit juice and the juice that's been on the shelf. Of course, I'd go for freshly squeezed juice, because obviously for it to be on the shelf for so long, there's a lot of other preservatives that have been added to it to make it last so long. When you keep a fruit out in the sun for 2 or 3 days, it begins to rot. A fruit should normally rot after a few hours or a few days of exposure to the environment, isn't it?
Very
But
true.
those pre-packed fruit juices will stay on the shelf for longer. And when you eat a natural mango, for example, there's fiber in it, you know, and which you don't find in mango juice. So that is taken away from what you would benefit from fruit in its natural state.
There are some people out there that will say what you're talking about, the issue of good nutrition, is a preserve for people of a certain financial class or social status. Does financial status or social status come into play in terms of a person managing to have a good diet?
Yeah, unfortunately, that has been largely misunderstood because, you know, when I talk of carbohydrates, for example, we're not talking of pasta only. Like I had given an example of a cob of maize is also a carbohydrate, which is a far much better carbohydrate as compared to pasta or rice, which has been processed. When we talk of proteins, we're talking of carpenter, you're talking of eggs. You can get proteins even from local beans, dry beans. So it's not about food elements that you will get from shops. I mean, we can even go to the market and be able to make a balanced diet from the food, from the vegetables, from the legumes, from food that we just can get locally. I mean, from the market or just from our own streets here in Zambia.
There are a lot of people that are slender
Uh-huh.
and will say, no, I don't have to exercise because I'm already slender.
Yeah, well, I've come across a lot of that, but unfortunately, it's a very ignorant perspective to have because we do not know what is going on in our body. What we see does not ultimately tell us what is going on inside. There are very thin people, or there are people that are slender that may have hypertension, that may be diabetic, that may have high blood pressure, and all these. We cannot look at somebody and tell that they are healthy just because they are slender. So everybody actually needs to engage in physical exercises. If I exercise regularly, for example, I'll be improving my respiratory system, my cardiovascular system, circulatory system. All these systems begin to function better because of the effects of exercises on these body systems. So you are doing yourself a favor, but whether slim or big, to exercise regularly to improve the functionality of your body.
Okay. Thank you so much for the loaded information. I'll give you an opportunity to speak to our viewers.
All right.
What advice would you give them in relation to nutrition and exercise, keeping fit?
I'm loving the mood in the country right now, the attitudes. This keeping fit culture is very encouraging, but let's do it with caution. Of course, physical fitness is not just about exercise, but it's also about nutrition. So it's about what we are taking in and what we are putting out. So let's be cautious of the kind of food that we're eating. Are we eating the right proportions? Are we eating the right foods? And are we doing the right exercises? I think apart from nutrition knowledge, we should also have education, physical fitness knowledge. Before we engage into some of these intense activities, we should find out, some of us, it's actually important to even go to the hospital and find out our condition, what is our health status, how are we able to do some of these activities that we're doing. Of course, there are some things that we can physically see that maybe my body is not able to take on this kind of exercise. I mean, if you're unable to do it, don't push yourself just because somebody else is doing it. Take it easy, do it at your own pace. You're not competing with anyone but yourself. So take it at your own pace. If it becomes too stressful for you, reduce the intensity of the exercise to an intensity that fits your capabilities. And also, I think it's important that we prepare before some of these marathons that we are taking on. Others are too quick to run 10 kilometers, 20, up to 42 kilometers. I think you need to know that before you can engage in such a rigorous and high intensity kind of run, you need to have prepared for it. I mean, people prepare for marathon for months on end. We heard of people dying initially when the London Marathon began. People died doing the London Marathon. There were deaths actually because you push your body to levels, to limits that it cannot go. So let us please engage in pre-competition fitness so that we prepare for this high intensity exercise. And exercise is good for everyone, whether you're thin, whether you're slim or slender. It's good for all of us to keep fit and healthy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for finding time to be with us. We know you're very busy this time of the academic calendar, but you spare time to be with us and educate us on healthy living. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
So today we were looking at healthy lifestyles. Having listened to Makungo from Aerobics Mania and Katongo from Unza, we hope you've learned a few things that will help you make a decision to lead a more healthy lifestyle. Remember, leading a healthy lifestyle is all about choices. Commitment you make as an individual to change the way you live your life. Change the way you live your life through exercise and achieving physical fitness, and also changing the way you live your life in terms of having a good diet. Let's also find time to support our family members, friends, and workmates in living a healthy lifestyle. This reminds me of something a friend of mine was saying, Kumbuso Penyani. He called me to inform me that one of his closest friends had passed on. Then he shared a reflection that I think I've heard from many friends and many Zambians. He asked the question, why is it that we seem to support people so much after death? Why don't we offer them the same support before death? And I think that applies a lot to me and many of you viewing right now. We need to find time to support people whilst they are still alive. There is no point in giving someone roses after they are dead because they can't smell them, they can't touch them, they can't see them, they can't appreciate them. Let us find time to support people whilst they are still alive. Buy them the roses now. Buy them a membership at a gym now. Take walks, jogs with them now. Don't buy people fruits only when they're sick. They need the fruits more when they're healthy. So let's all come together as members of the Zambian society and make a difference in each other's lives. Let's all try as much as possible to lead healthy lifestyles. For Mizu Eco Care Environmental Series, this is Timothy Kamuzu Phiri, and on behalf of everyone here supporting this particular show, I say bye, stay healthy, and stay green.